Good afternoon. Just finishing up the last block for our churn dash, our mini churn dash placemat. Just almost. Hi, Denise. We're just gonna finish up the last mini churn dash block for the placemat. I was gonna finish it after our session on Thursday, and then I thought, no, you know what? I think I'll show them how to put it together. It's done on the diagonal, the joining the blocks on the diagonal, so the churn dash blocks are on point. So yeah, let's just put it together. Hope everybody's weekend is going well. Oh, and look who ran out of thread in her bobbin. I didn't check it before. And I did remember to bring some of my art quilts down to share with you. Do that. We'll do that shortly. We'll finish this block first. Don't mind my hand. I worked in the yard, in the vegetable garden yesterday. Tangled up with something. But we made some nice progress out there. I'm so excited. My green beans are quickly filling up the pots. I use a seed, what do you call it? It's like I think it's called a seed tray, something like that, where you the little holes in a big tray that you start your seeds in. So I had that in the hothouse. And of course, every string bean thing I planted popped right up. So they were getting kind of big, so I transplanted them into big clear solo cups and placed them in punched holes in the bottom or the side bottoms, and placed them in a big tray so I could water them from the bottom. And they're now about 10 inches tall. They are ready to go. So I got my 2 raised beds in, and they're pole beans. So we got the trellis-like all set last night. So now, today, when I'm done here, I'm going to go out and I am going to mix up some awesome dirt, soil, whatever. I've got soil my husband brought in from the our field, and I've got a little manure, and I've got some sand, and I've got some other stuff. I'm going to mix it all up. I got a little cultivator. Going to get it all mixed up and then put in the beds and get those plants going. And I don't know why I did so many, but that's okay. I love garlic pickled green beans. Oh my goodness, those are so good. Okay, let's trim these two. This is the top and bottom parts, A and C to the block. I'll show you what I've got done so far. This is the pattern we're working on. And this is what I have so far. So I'm working on the last block that goes down here in the corner, this one. And then we'll get it all put together. Let's see, this is the middle part. You could trim all the way around this if you wanted to, but I like to, you know how I like to run the line of stitching between the solid line and the broken line. I just find it's easier to do that if the whole block's put together. Okay, this is the centerpiece. And this is exactly the same way we make the larger churn dash blocks. So that's number 1. Put 1 and 2 together. Right sides together. And then I'm going to set it. The black one is, do I have right sides together? I don't think so. No. Right sides together. Like that. Put the foundation on top. I'm having trouble seeing over my phone. Okay, put the foundation on top so it covers all of space number 1. It goes about 1/4 inch into space number 2. We're just going to turn that around, put it on and sew on that line between space 1 and 2. Hi, glad you could join us this morning. I've got some neat things I'm going to show you shortly, but we want to get this block done. And then we're going to trim this. Number 2, we're going to trim to get ready to add number 3. That's where we're going to sew it on. So we're going to fold the foundation back. You know that we archive all of our, I guess that's what they call it. You know me, technically challenged. But we save all the videos, so you have access to them at any time. So if we have done a video and you are making a pattern, check on there. And I believe Laura said last night that she had linked our videos from our website. So you can go either place and have access to all these tutorials. And then we're going to get ready to add piece number 4. I have to turn my mind on here. There's our 1/4 inch seam allowance, so we'll turn it over and we'll put fabric piece number 4 right sides together. And then turn it over and stitch on that line. I don't know if you were with us earlier, a different day, and we were talking about sewing machines, and I mentioned how I had burned up 2 motherboards on my FOF doing thread painting. So today I'm going to show you what some of that thread painting looks like. And you'll understand why. Because I would run my machine for hours. The poor thing. I was pretty abusive, to put it mildly. Okay, let's trim this. This one is covered. We're going to trim 1/4 inch from that solid line. I'll tell you, when you're trimming, when you're using your ruler, it's always best if you can put at least 1 finger out at the edge. I prefer 2. This ruler's just a tad bit too big for me to feel comfortable. But if you put your fingers off like this, off the edge of the ruler, it really helps keep it from twisting as you're trimming. Okay, this is how this little thing is gonna go. Just like that. So we're gonna take part A, flip it down, right sides together to part B, and these 2 seams are gonna nest. So that's where I like to start when I'm putting them together. Push them, butt those 2 seams right up against each other. And then work out to the end. Whoops. And you want to match that point. And I'm off a little bit on the front one too. Oh yeah. I'm sorry. No, our foundations are sew-in, no fusible for me. They're very lightweight. They come pre-printed. They're in Hi Lorraine. They come pre-printed. They're in all the packages. Whatever it takes to make a project is all included in the pattern. We tell you what size to cut all of your pieces, and all of our patterns contain detailed instructions. Doesn't add any weight or bulk to your quilt, but it does keep everything nice and square. Like on this one, there's a lot of bias edges, and they won't stretch. Whoops. Move that out of the way. Take my pin out. And stitch on that solid line. This is the same process as traditional paper piecing. But you are going to leave it in. Well, we have a crazy quilt pattern. We have a couple of different crazy quilt blocks that are all laid out. If you look back through our videos, there's geese around the crazy heart pattern we did. So there's half or 2/3. And now we'll match this side. And this is a side where the 2 seams do butt against each other. Pin that in place. And then we'll come down here, match this seam. And get pretty good. If you look down like this, you can see your two seams come together. I still like to put a pin in there just to make sure. And then come down to this end. And I like to sew on the A and C side. This is part C, because I want to make sure that I hit this seam line going across when I'm joining C to B. I want to make sure that I get this point just right. So when I sew the blocks together and sew on that line, I will have a perfect point there. This side is just all, it's just, there's no points to meet on the B side. It's just a straight, everything's straight. Okay. And then when I press these seams, let's see, that looks good, that looks good, yay. When I press these seams, I press my seams open, because there's, you know, you've got a lot of seams here where there's, what, 4 layers? It'd be 8 layers, I think, if you put them all in one direction. So to kind of even out the bulkiness, if I could get my fingers in, there we go. And I do, I use a low steam setting on my iron. I do like a little steam, or a whole lot of steam. And this little iron works fine, but when I'm done, I usually take it to the bigger iron and give it a good pressing. Pressing's so important, and especially today where we're going to be working on a mini quilt. It's just really important. You want these seams to all lay nice and flat. And I'm going to stitch around here, and then I'm going to share a little bit of artwork with you. This is when I'm joining, making sure that, like, at my corners, like, see, the corners aren't attached to the fabric here, the foundation and the fabric. You want them to be sewn together, so when you sew your blocks together, you know that fabric and foundation are where they're supposed to be. Oh, it probably will, if you can't see it on the TV, it takes like 24 hours to process to watch it on the TV. So like tomorrow morning, this should be available to watch on the TV. At least that's what's happened to me. gotta, yes, you can. Oh, you're right. Fussy cutting is super easy, and I have a technique that I teach on how to fussy cut every piece, not just the first piece is so obvious on how to um, to fussy cut, but I can show you. In fact, that's something that I will put on my list of things to do. Maybe on one of my shows next week, I'll do that. Whoops. Okay, so this one's done, and you, like I say, what I usually do is take it to the big iron and give it one more pressing, and then we're going to trim around all four sides, a 1/4 inch from the solid line. I don't know, I'll try to get this so I don't think it's gonna, the glare from my overhead lights pretty bad. But you can see there's a solid line. We trimmed a 1/4 of an inch. And just do that on all four sides. This block, I guess, is technically a mini because it finishes at 3 inches. There it is. In a little while, we're going to work on a 2-inch block. Okay, so this is going to go over here like this. 2 side triangles and then the corner, and then we'll sew it to that. And that'll be it. But I want to show you, I promised several times to share my art quilts. So here we go. This is one of them. This is, oh, why can't I remember the name? It's a San Juan adobe. We live in a little mission town, and this is on Main Street. As you come into town, it's the first building on the left, and it is the oldest building that still stands, that's used. I think there's an antique shop in it now. But now I'm going to show you my thread painting here. Like this tree, I started with a water-soluble stabilizer, and I kind of just roughly etched out the outer portions of it, what size I wanted it. There is a little piece of fabric in here, but all the rest is just threads, layers and layers of thread. And then when I got it done, I soaked it to remove the stabilizer. Then I placed it on my quilt, and then I did a lot more thread painting. You can see, I think you can see out here, this is kind of how I've attached it. And the shadow, this is just netting to give it a shadowed effect. This is all little individual pieces of fabric that are all stitched down. Everything is like this dark is a separate piece of fabric. And I did all the flowers and the bushes the same way. I did them on the water-soluble stabilizer. And then put them on, they're layered. But that's how this rose bush, that was done the same way. So this is, and then I framed it and originally hung it like a regular quilt. And then later I put it on my husband made a wood frame for it. And he bevels the edges so the corners are a soft turn, or the sides, edges, whatever. This is another one. Move that out of the way. This is the mission down in Lompoc, California. No, Denise, I am self-taught. I started doing these way back, like around 2000, maybe. Maybe I think my first one. Yeah, they were all 2001. I think is when I first started, and I love this one. I had this one matted and framed, and the beige. This part is like a suede, but everything is little individual pieces. It is raw edge applique, and then everything is stitched down and thread painted. Um, Obviously, this is what I love to do more than anything. A couple of them. The first one I showed you, I entered in a quilt show, and it was like the only art quilt, and they didn't know what to do with it. I did get best of show. The voters voted on it, but there was no category at that time, no art quilts. So I was an in-between artist. I didn't I didn't fit the mold. Okay, and then this one is called Springtime in the Pinnacles. And no, the iron isn't part of it. Hi, Sandy. Hi, everybody. So glad you could join us. This one is a ton of thread painting as well. Um, I I do collect a lot of fabrics that I think will work good in art quilts, like the wood grains. I have lots of different wood grain fabrics. Um, Things that look um, like this is just a little different. I try to collect things that will work as landscape um, things that you see like a landscape kind of fabric. This is Springtime in the Pinnacles. Pinnacles is a national park in our county. I grew up very close to there. And Bob and I took a trip down so I could take pictures. And this was actually taken from a picture that I took. And I have a thing about doorways and windows. So I decided this is totally creative scene of my own, being in a rock cabin, which we had on the ranch, but this is from memory kind of thing. And of course, the desk, and then the flower pot, the baskets, all separate pieces of fabric. And then the flowers are all cut from different fabrics. They're all cut out individually and then thread painted, if you can see that, to make the basket. Anyway, that's my art quilts. I am seriously thinking about um, doing a couple of patterns because my product, the leave-in foundation, is perfect for the basis of these quilts. So it's just finding the time to do it. And of course, I'd love to teach it. Might just do something, classes online. So, but you're gonna have to give me a little time. I'll have time. I'm not gonna really have time off until the start of next year. But that would be something that I would love to introduce. Anyway, so that's three of my art quilts. I have a lot that I've done in relation to car racing. I've got a few here I gotta put out, and a lot of them have been sold, but Yeah, they're a lot of fun to do. A lot of fun. So then we're going to finish up this placemat, and then we're going to do a mini quilt. This is a mini log cabin. This one has 12 blocks. The pattern comes with 16 blocks. And, oh, I forgot to bring it. I'll show it on Tuesday. These finish at 2 inches, and I also have a pineapple block that finishes at 2 inches. And I made one block, and then I backed it with, I'm trying to remember what I used for backing, and I stitched it, and then I faced, I did the finished backing. I sewed it from the front side and turned it, and then I Mod Podged it. I made it into a little brooch, 2 inch by 2 inch. I wear a lot of scarves and stuff in the wintertime, and so that's what I made that for. It sewed a little pin clasp thing on the back side. So that's something with the 4 extra if you wanted to make the quilt like this with the 12 blocks and have the 4 left over. You could make some very interesting brooches. But I will share that with you also. I forgot to bring it down. So let's get this placemat done. Let's see, I have 2 setting triangles here. They're going to go like this. I always recommend laying it out like it's going to go when you finish. Just makes it a little bit easier. And then this will be the finishing piece right here. So we're going to sew this to this to this, and then we'll sew this on last, and then we'll sew it all to that. And we'll have the inner part done. And when I sew these, I do, see, it goes like that and like that. I like to sew them together on the foundation side because we do have points. These points come all the way out to the seam line. So you want to make sure you don't cut those off. Let's see. Thank you, Denise. It's, you always think you can do something, but you're never sure. You got to try. I always thought I could paint, but I just didn't see the value in it or nothing unusual, nothing different. So I started painting with thread because I love thread. I love fibers. That's my favorite medium. So, and it was just, I'll tell you, I bought my very first one. I bought a pattern, and it was a very primitive type. It was of a motorcycle, and of course, when you have a husband who has always ridden motorcycles, you're drawn to that. And I did that quilt, and I really had a lot of fun. Make sure I got this right. So I designed one of a race car and the driver, and did it in sort of the same style. There was some thread painting on it, but it was all raw edge applique. I took a picture of him at the races, and so I used my own picture. And if I teach, I'll show you how you transfer that to your master. And Anyway, I did that quilt and had lots of fun. And then we had a friend who had a, what do you call it when you collect, car collection. Not vintage, but like 30s, 40s, stuff like that. I guess that's vintage now. Anyway, he gave me a picture of a couple of his cars, and I really loved one. So I made him a quilt. And am I doing this on the right side? Yep. Make sure. Nope, doing it on the wrong side, see? There we go. Anyway, so I did that one, and I had a lot of fun. And then I'm trying to think. At some point, I got into, I really like the architectural artwork, but I have done numerous racing quilts and have sold most of them. I have a couple left. But then I got into the architectural, and I really, really enjoy that. My first one was of our mission here in San Juan, and I was playing around with photography, and my son helped me learn how to manipulate and do, I combined two photos into one, and you really couldn't tell. To get a view of the mission, that is not really possible. And that was my model for my first architectural quilt. And darn if the city of San Juan didn't, they gave my photo to a magazine for the state, and I didn't know it till years later. But that's okay. They did give me credit for it, so that's good. Okay, I'm going to square that, cut off my little dog ears here. And now we're going to join this corner. I think this is really cute the way this has come out. Okay, so we want to match these seams right here. And they should, oh, they do. They do bet right up. They nest. I was working in my garden yesterday, and I'm not really sure. My berry bush has a lot of thorns on it. But I was also working around some chicken wire. I'm not sure how I did it. I just looked down towards the end of the day, and there it was. But I was so happy with what I got done yesterday. Oh my gosh, you guys, you'd have laughed at me if you would have watched me. I have a little cultivator. I had to have one of the guys come and start it for me. I'm going to get my needle in the right place here. There we go. They had to start it for me, but then I was out there just disking or cultivating dirt, moving dirt. It was so good for me. I was tired last night, but it felt so good. Just ran over my pin. So I'm anxious to get back out there this afternoon. It's gorgeous weather, so. My garden's a little behind this year, but you know, we have such a mild climate. We can grow stuff year round. So I thought, well, I'm going to go for it. These corners look pretty good. I'm going to use my big iron. Move my borders. And this one, I have my iron turned off. This one looks kind of funky on the back because I pressed the seam allowances where these seams are towards the background fabric. But then as I got up to the next one, I did it opposite. So it looks kind of funky, but it lays pretty flat like that. So that's how it's going to go. See here where I fold that back, it's just the 2 layers. But that way I don't have a lot of bulk here. We'll have to cut those dog ears off. Okay. I'm done with the add a quarter and the grippy straight edge for a while. I'm going to trim these dog ears off. If I could get my ruler out. Like that. I'm at a 1/4 inch there. 1/4 inch. I think up down here. I'm at a 1/4 inch at that point and a 1/4 inch at that point. Okay, we got this baby ready to add borders to. My long ruler. We're going to go down, measure down the middle. And 13 inches. So I want to cut 2 pieces from, this is going to be my inner border. So I'm going to cut 2 pieces 13 inches long. Let me cut my selvage off. And we'll put this on here at 13 inches. It's just, I think it's more scrape than anything. And just on old hands, it doesn't look very nice. You cut your thumb. Oh, with the rotary cutter, that's my big fear. My big fear. Yes, we do have a silk tree, and we have, at one time, we probably had 50 hummingbirds simultaneously. But then we got cats. we still have hummingbirds, but we don't have quail anymore. They're scared to come around. And we don't have the doves. We had, oh my gosh, did we have doves? So, but I have put my hummingbird feeders in other locations where it's not so close to where the cats can get. So I notice our hummingbird population is increasing again. So that makes me happy. We used to sit in the patio in the evening having a cocktail. And those hummingbirds, we had so many, it sounded like a semi-truck was idling in our yard. I guess I should have folded this found the middle to do it right. Match those edges. One more. You know, I have those clips. They're really nice. And I forget to use them. I'm an old quilter and it's hard to change habits. Well, I'll tell you, we went through quite a time here with cats. About 4 or 5 years ago, somebody dropped off a young litter, and up in our field along the road, we have quite a bit of property that fronts the county road here. Anyway, somebody dumped him off, and I started noticing here and there a cat every once in a while. And then there were two that really hung around a lot, and one, we had a broken window in the basement here of the shop, and I noticed one had made a bed in a box in front of the broken window. And they were not friendly. And then one day, our caretaker said to my husband, "Don't tell Deb, but I hear kittens from my bedroom window." So, of course, Bob immediately told me. And sewing machine oil on fabric. I don't know, but maybe somebody on here does. I would imagine how to remove oil from any kind of oil. I honestly I don't know. Would I was just gonna say something like Dawn because I know it's so good for breaking up oil. I don't think that would hurt it at all. Might be worth a try. Anyway, I found the kittens. They were in a shed. And of course, the first time when I found them, they scattered. Their eyes were open. But they all scattered. And so I can't remember how many there were. I think there was like 6 or 7. So I put a small animal trap out by the shed that afternoon, went out the next morning, and there was a beautiful yellow cat in there. And underneath, it kind of was overhanging the step a little bit, and underneath was another one. And she just let me pick her up. So I brought the 2 of them home. We had a huge dog kennel we put up and put them in there. And the next morning I went out and there was another cat in in the trap. So brought that one home. So I had 3 cats, and they were all very different. Obviously, the yellow one was a boy, and then the 2 girls. And but they all looked very different. So I wanted to keep them. I'm really not a cat person. I love my dogs. And anyway, we kept the 3 cats. The 2 mother cats, the other kittens all hung around the ranch. And then the other female from that litter that had been dropped off had a litter. And then there's another one. I don't know if she was from the abandoned original bunch, but she brought 4 kittens into my yard. So at one time I was feeding, oh, don't get mad at me, 16 cats at one time. And only the 3 that we had originally kept would let me pet them and hold them and stuff. So we had animal rescue come, and they trapped all of we had our 3 cats. We took them to the vet, had them all fixed. We had, we worked with a group, and they came and trapped all the cats and had them all fixed. Several of them got adopted right out from, from when they were fixed. And we found homes for all the rest. I kept 2 cats from the strange litter. One of my first original, the yellow cat, disappeared. And which, when you live in the country, that is a risk you run. And so I have the 2 sisters that I trapped originally, and then I have 2 siblings from the strange cat's litter. She brought them to my yard, and then she abandoned them. I was watching them, and they were smaller than the other ones, so they were always the last ones to be able to get into the food. But one went to nurse on Mom, and she slapped it away, slapped another one away. So I rescued her 4 babies that she didn't apparently want to mother anymore. Anyway, we found homes for all of them. I kept 2, the white male and a calico. So we have 4 cats now. And the one cat comes inside occasionally, and the rest are hang around our patio, our yard, whatever. So we don't have a lot of birds anymore. They don't want to hang around here, and I can't say I blame them. Okay, so now we're going to measure across the middle, and it's 10 inches, so I'm going to cut, I have another strip. We'll cut at 10 inches. Of course, I want to mother all the animals. A little abandoned skunk showed up in well, he wasn't abandoned when he first showed up. He and his mother and his siblings showed up, and were eating the cat food, and this one wanted to get in there, and Mom slapped it away and took off, abandoned him. So a year later, he's still hanging around. He's never sprayed us. I don't know if he's capable of spraying. He is. He's never grown. But he's still hanging around. And then a baby possum just showed up on our front step out of the blue. But now I haven't seen, he hung around for a little while, but I haven't seen him, so. They know where there's a soft touch. Always food. And of course we have deer. Oh, these strips are cut 1 inch wide. I'm sorry. And I didn't overcut them like I usually do. Usually I'll add 1/4 of an inch, sew them on, and then measure them down and trim them down. But I did not do that on these. Oops, keep hitting my phone. I'm thinking on these, I'm going to do, I'll probably do 2 with this dark border. And then I'm going to do 1 with the rust and 1 with the green. It'll be a matching set, but they'll be just going to have different inner borders. Whoops. And I'm going to show you a mistake I made on here. Because I didn't do what I always tell everybody else to do. Busy talking. When I sew these inner borders on, I should be sewing them on this side so that I don't cut off my corners or I don't leave a gap, which I did on this side. I left a gap. If I would have sewn it on this side, I would have come down and crossed. I would have sewn on the line. This would focus. See, I'm above the point, so there's the gap. But I'm not going to fix it. I shouldn't show anything that isn't. But I was talking and not paying attention, not following my own instructions. Although now that I'm looking at it, I'm thinking I should fix it. But I don't want to curve the seam, so let's see what this one looks like. Yeah, these are okay. So that's why you always sew on the foundation side. Okay, now we're going to do the outer border. So now I'm going to measure the length. And it's 14 inches. All right. Yep, 14. There's my borders. Cut off our selvage. Now for that mini quilt, let me show you that again. This one, I have the stands for these. And I do believe they should be on the website. If they're not and you want one, let me know. Or I'll check afterwards or have Laura check. And they come apart, which is nice for us traveling. And anyway, and then you can get, I don't have them. I didn't buy any. They have different headers for them too that you can, you know, attach to this top bar. But I kind of just like it like that. And I don't know if I pointed this out, I did little mini buttons in the middle to follow the colors. I had a lot of fun doing that one. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm using the this same line of fabrics, Kansas Troubles fabrics, for the mini quilt. And I am going to do all 16 blocks and make it a little quilt and then put it on a frame. You know, mount it in a frame. Whatever. Okay. Foot pedal. Well, hello to Naples. I got to spend nearly 3 months in Italy and loved it. Ooh, this is gonna look cool. Oh yes, the phone just doesn't show these colors, but they're awesome. Now this border I did cut, I think a half inch larger than what the pattern calls for. And then that way, when I quilt it, I have a little extra. So if I Quilt it densely. I'm not sure how I'm going to quilt it. I'm not sure that I'm going to quilt it the way I quilted my first one because it's pretty time consuming. I did in each one of these plain blocks, I did the feathered wreath, but it was sure tiny. And then I did half one in the setting triangles. I loved the way it looked, but a lot of time. And on placemats that are going to be laundered fairly often, it's the one time I don't hand stitch my binding down. I do it on the machine. Did I show what? I'm not sure what you're talking about, Denise. Oh, the first one I made, this one, I've been looking for it. I don't know where it is. I hate to say that, but I went through, it was totally done. And in one of my rooms here, I have cabinets. One cabinet is all finished quilts, and they're folded and stacked on top of each other on shelves. And I went through there quickly and didn't see it, but of course, being small, it could be hidden. And it was totally done, so that's the cabinet it should be in. I will, I'll look again because I think I have fabric kits for that one too. And that's in Kansas Troubles also. And then I have another one I did. I just ran across a picture, and I know it's not done. It's probably in the other closet. And it was a really wild one, color-wise. Let's see, let's measure this. But it's not quilted yet. And this looks like it's going to be 14 inches. I am going to be trimming this down to the right size for placemat. I think I end up 13 by 17, something like that. Cut this. But remember, I cut my borders larger than the pattern calls for. I don't like this little cutting area. Too confining. But I will, like I say, I'll get it quilted and then I'll trim it down to the right size. And then I like to put a pin to hold my seam allowance in the proper direction. I got a free CD of quilt designs from somebody years and years ago, and that Oh no, I think this is one I purchased. Um, it had the feathered wreath, and of course you can print them out any size. And if I recall, um, I did it at about a 2 3/4 inch feathered wreath. So it was little, but it was very, very impressive. And of course, with a lighter background, it shows really well. I'm gonna have to look for that. And then we'll do this end, and we'll be ready to quilt it. Okay. I keep forgetting that. I heard that we're supposed to, I hope I haven't checked, but we're supposed to be getting a storm in tomorrow night into Monday, and it's supposed to have a lot of dry lightning. And that scares me because we have a lot of brown grass. We don't have it close to our house, but oh, this is, oh, I love these. These are going to be beautiful. I think doing 4 placemats and then buying a package of blocks to make a table runner down the middle would be perfect. I don't know if you guys can turn it and see if I can get the whole thing on the camera. I love that. Awesome. Then like I say, I'm going to do 2 with the dark band here, 1 with the rust color, and 1 with the green. I think that's great. Oh, yeah. I'm going to try to get it quilted. If I make all 4, Denise, eventually, after I sell all the fabric kits, I will use it for myself. I did cut for all 4, so if I don't get any more of them made for a while, I will have all the cut pieces so I can finish it for myself at some point. Um, rarely do I get to use, rarely do I get to keep anything for myself. But anyway, so that's done. Yay. Let me put my scraps all together here and all my cut pieces and my labels. And we'll see, I've got all those cut. That's for the other three. And I'm going to fold it all up here together and put it over with the rest of the fabrics. So I'm going to try to get this one quilted in the next few days. When it is, I will share it with you. Let me just put that right up there. Now, I'm not going to start sewing on this mini quilt, but I am going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the same technique as far as color placement that I did on here. Half will be darks, half will be the lighters or these. I've cut, there's 13 pieces to a block. So I have 6 darks, 6 darks, 6 mediums, and then the center is going to be the rest color. So they're just 1-inch strips, and what I do, the longest strip on here is 2.5 inches. I won't pre-cut all, from the strips. I'll just do it as I go, but I'm going to do diagonally, half will be lights, half will be darks. So I've got everything, and this is enough to make, these strips are enough to make the entire quilt if I want to make all 16 blocks. So great use of scraps. So that's my color palette, and I will work on this one on Tuesday on the mini quilt. Hopefully I'll have my placemat quilted and share that with you, and we'll make a couple of these. I'm sure in 2 hours we'll get several of these made. So we can start seeing the layout or the way colors are going to go. And yeah, anyway, that's it. The pattern, this is the pattern. It's the miniature log cabin. To fit this stand, you use 12 of the blocks. There's 16 in there. Like I say, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it for the stand or if I'm going to do it and put it on a frame. Because if I do 16, that would be 8 by 8, and I happen to have a whole bunch of those frames, the stretcher, the canvas stretcher, whatever, art frames. I have to decide. I want it to look vintage. I mean, these fabrics look vintage, so I will have to decide. We may put it we may put it on a stretch canvas and then put I think it'd be cool to do like a old barnwood kind of frame. We'll see. I'll see what I got around here. And anyway, we will do that on Tuesday. So I'm going to take off a little early. I'm sure you can tell I'm a little anxious to go work in my yard. I'll share another view of my springtime in the Pinnacles. I think this is Bob. Bob says this is his favorite quilt. And this one's my favorite. I don't know why. It just, to me, feels like you can just, well, if you didn't have the pattern there, it just, I feel the depth of being able to walk through the first arch and look through to through the second arch and what's beyond. So I think I did tell you that my first architectural one was of our local mission. And Donald lived in Italy for 4 years, so we went for Christmas one year, and Mom took him that first quilt. Because he'd helped me learn how to manipulate, do the photography and manipulate, work on the computer. I was very computer illiterate, but he taught me how to do all that. So I felt I owed him that quilt, and it was from home. So he has that quilt, and I feel very honored. When they bought their new house, they have a big, when you walk in the front door, it's like a rotunda, and on the opposite wall, it's quite a distance from the front door to the wall. Um, and the wall is perfect for a piece of artwork, and that's where they hung that quilt. So I feel very, very honored, and I'm so happy he thinks so much of it. So that's where that quilt is. It is on the website on Debbie's Designs if you want to look, as well as the ones I've sold. So, with that being said, I am going to go work in my yard a little bit, and then I'll come back this evening and try to get that placemat quilted so I can share it with you on Tuesday. I hope you all have a great weekend, rest of your weekend. I also hope that you're all working on something that brings you much pleasure, peace. Um, for me, that's what sewing is. It's my restful place, my happy place. So, hope you're all happy. Uh, I will be back on Tuesday. Don't forget, you can watch Laura Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 to noon Eastern Time, and I'm on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday from noon till somewhere between 1:30 and 2. And if you have anything you want to see, any questions, send us, either one of us, we both see the same messages, so send us a message and we'll see if we can incorporate it into a show very soon. So I guess that's it. I will see you on Tuesday. Thanks everybody for joining me. Bye bye.